Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
It's the Chase! It's the Chase! Live 1 to 3, Monday through Friday on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Listen to Chase and his friends on WKGN. It's the Chase! It's the Scruffy City! Listen to his friends, and his friends are on WKGN. I'm always taking your calls on the Tennessee Vols. It's the Chase! It's the Chase! It's the Chase!
It's the Chase here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, coming to you live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios here in East Tennessee. The Chase on a Thursday with Saturday on South. Ethan Stone, as he is here every Thursday right here on the Chase. My name is Chase Thomas, and we have got a jam-packed show for you guys today right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. You can tap that app, and it's free. Go ahead and download it today on your app store. Fan Run Radio, search it there and download it with ease today. You can also listen to us on 105.7 FM, AM 1340. You can watch us on YouTube, Fan Run, Fox Sports Knoxville. Check us out there. If you want to watch this program, guess what? You can do so with ease as well. And you can also be a part of the show by calling us at 865-966-3435. Again, you can join the program and call us today at 865-966-3435. Always taking your calls throughout our 2 hours right here in East Tennessee. Ethan Stone, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I've had a busy week, but so far not a busy Thursday. It's just kind of getting started. I got some columns to write when I get home from this, and obviously a lot of Tennessee Vols and sports to talk about here in the next 2 hours.
Can we get a tease? What columns are coming? Is it college football? Is it college basketball? What are we looking at here?
I got a couple college football ones. I think they got sick of me writing college basketball stuff in June. But I'm doing a piece on, it was really interesting actually, on the different streaks, like each team in the SEC's looking to end or like keep going. Like Florida obviously has scored in like 461 straight games or something like that. Just little tidbits like that. I think that kind of stuff is fun. And then on Sunday I've got something coming out about Joe Aguilar and whether or not or how he can and how he can't work for Tennessee football's offense this coming season.
I love it. Go check out Ethan's work over there on Saturday Down South each and every day. And that's going to be good, man. I'm excited. Preview season, and you do a great job. Deep dives are Ethan Stone's bread and butter. Ethan's really good at the diving in on the long-form content. So make sure you're locked in and reading and all of Ethan's great work all summer long as we get closer and closer to football season. 70-ish days away from the return of Tennessee's football season. So we still got a little bit of a ways to go, but we're getting a little bit closer each and every day right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. New hoops additions for the Vols made their first appearance with practice. They've been practicing for the last couple of weeks, Ethan, but media got to see these guys up close in person. We have friend of the program, Ryan Shumpert's jaw-dropping reaction. We talked to Ryan Sylvia of Vol Report yesterday about what he saw as well. He put me on the hot seat in a Zakai Ziegler, Jacoby Gillespie conversation that I'm going to pick your brain on here at the top of the hour here, but What did you think of the new Vols Hoops editions, and when you're reading about Amari Evans and Amari Abram and Jalen Carey and Nate Ament and everybody else coming in there? What did you make of the first visuals of Nate Ament, who I did learn it's Ament. It's not Ament. It's Nate Ament that we saw this week.
That's news to me as well. I didn't know it was Nate Ament. I'm going to have to get used to that because I've been obviously pronouncing it the wrong way as well.
According to GoVols247's Ben McKee this morning, it is Nate Ament.
There's one thing we have to learn about the basketball team is you never know how to pronounce their names.
Yes.
We mispronounced Santi's name for forever.
And he was so nice about it.
Yeah, I don't even say his last name anymore. I just call him Santi because, Yeah. But, I mean, the first thing you realize is the guy can shoot, right? I mean, he is as advertised in that respect. Now, obviously, I wasn't there at practice, but every single video I saw, I'm not sure I saw him miss one. So, and obviously the reports from Ryan, as you mentioned earlier, and elsewhere across the Tennessee basketball beat have kind of said that same thing, right? They've said that, look, this guy, he looks like the real deal. He looks like, as advertised. And, as we're talking about, it's June. We still got, 3, 4, or 5 months to go until the start of the season. And obviously it's a completely different beast, but it's encouraging, I guess, that the early signs are there for Ament. And then, the surprise, I think, at least surprise to me, was that Troy Henderson is apparently turning out to be, like I say, it's June, but he's kind of turned some heads early. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but that's admittedly a surprise. I'm not really sure anybody expected that Troy Henderson was going to be really anywhere near making contributions this season. I kind of felt like this was a redshirt season coming for him, but the word out of practice so far and out of the first media availability of the season is that he's holding himself well, and that'll be interesting to take a look at as we get closer.
Yeah, and I think this is something that I think folks are going to have to get adjusted to, and I think you're going to see that this fall for football, especially because they're just next up. But with the expectation that we're going to go to a blatant 5-year eligibility type deal over the next calendar year, I don't think it's going to come out in time for Sakai and Jordan Gainey to make it in. But this next group, I think if you're Rick Barnes, you're Josh Heupel, you're Tony Vitello, you're Kim Caldwell, you are thinking that the blanket 5-year eligibility standard is coming down the pike. And if you're operating under that assumption that it falls within the next calendar year, then you don't worry about redshirt anymore. Like, if Troy Henderson can play, Troy Henderson's going to play. If Dwayne Brown overtakes JP Estrella or whoever and he can help you win, then Rick Barnes has no reason to be like, oh, I have to protect his redshirt. Mari Evans, we thought, was going to play. Sources say Nate Ament is going to be a big factor, and you don't have to worry about a redshirt year for him. But I do think that is something that you're going to see more of across college basketball this year, and starting with college football. It's like that silly, did he play 4 games? Did he get in for 5? Like, managing that whole redshirt part of it. I don't think you're going to see teams do that starting this fall because everyone has this expectation that you're going to just have a blanket 5 years when it's all said and done anyway. That why get cute with, hey, if this guy can help us, let's let him play. Because baseball already does this. Baseball is like, look, we are probably going to have this guy, especially at Tennessee, where you have so many MLB draft guys. They're only going to be here for a couple of years anyway. Like, we're not really worried about the red shirt part of it with these guys because they need to get drafted as early as possible for their leverage and all of that. So, I don't know. I think basketball and football, there's going to be an adjustment there where my gut is if Troy Henderson, like you said, if he's better than or he's further along than you thought before he arrived on campus, like, you play him. Like, there's no reason to hold anybody back when you're under the assumption that 5 years is coming for everybody anyway.
Yeah, and everything you just said, and also the assumption with, knowing the current NIL landscape and everything that's happened lately, like, if you don't give players that opportunity and you think they have that ability, then, like, you're essentially saying, hey, man, like, you might as well just transfer next year. That's not what they're saying out loud, but, that's in practice, that's kind of how it ends up being, right? Like, if you get to a point where a guy thinks that he can play and he gets frustrated and he doesn't see the court, I mean, I'm not trying to say by any means that's what Troy Henderson is thinking or anything necessarily any player on Tennessee's roster, but if they're not playing and they're expecting to play, they're just going to go play at Jacksonville State next year. They're just going to go be the starter at Florida Gulf Coast, and they'll be perfectly happy with it because, if they pick their target right, they'll probably get paid for it as well on top of everything that you just said.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think it's just something to look forward to, I think, if you're a Vol fan, because I think it will be it's better for the product, where you don't have to worry about managing red shirts. Like, best players play, and you don't. And I think it also frees coaches up, like you said, where it's like, I mean, these guys might transfer anyway. So I'd rather figure out if I have something here and not play the what if game, because I played it cute, protected a red shirt, and they transfer anyway. So you really got nothing out of the deal. But if you play them, some of them won't work out, some of them will fall, and you're like, all right, this guy I thought could help us, it can't. Like, well, we're going to go somewhere else there. But some guys will pop that did not have an opportunity before, because you're just operating on the assumption that those guys are going to have 5 years. And look, if they're going to be able to transfer after every semester anyway, then, like, hey, let's play them. Like, let's stop worrying about this red shirt dance of, like, oh, did we conserve it? Did we not? That's just, it's a very silly way of doing things anyway. So I'm looking forward to when that does eventually pass, hopefully. And I think by all accounts, it seems like that's where things are headed. So we'll see ultimately when that happens. Maybe it's this summer, maybe it's this fall, who knows. But it does seem like when you're reading through the tea leaves that is something on the horizon. Before we dive into our conversation with college basketball expert and our mutual friend Will Warren, who will join us here in segment number 2, I want to pick your brain on Amari Evans real quick here, Ethan Stone. So I think you're a big Amari Evans guy. He is someone that I think, and this is with all due respect, how can I phrase this? A better version of Jemai Mashak, where more offensive potential than Jemai, but also all the defensive intangibles, where Amari is going to come in as an A-plus defender right away. He's a perfect Rick Barnes player. But what we've seen with him in Overtime Elite and everything else, it just feels like there's more of an offensive ceiling. And again, Jemai Mashak was a fantastic 4-year player for Rick Barnes, but there were obvious offensive limitations with Jemai. I think Amari is not going to be Nate Amin out there offensively, but I do think there is more to his game where you could see him being more of an offensive threat than Jemai. But if you get a souped-up Jemai Mashak there, I mean, we'll see how far along he can be in year one. But I really like the potential there, and I kind of wonder where he fits in with this group this year.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's no replacing Jemai Mashak, right? And Amari Evans probably won't replace Jemai Mashak. He's going to be Amari Evans. And what Amari Evans is I don't know the name of it, but a Defensive Player of the Year award in high school. Obviously played for Overtime Elite and did very well there. But like you say, the thing that I think would surprise a lot of people is how confident he is with his shot. And once you get past all the endurance stuff and the, just getting up to the speed of what college basketball is, I really do feel like he is the prototype Rick Barnes player. And, if he can hit the shots and he locks in on defense like he has shown everyone that he's done at every stop he's been thus far, he's going to see the court. He just is. Obviously, the media availability, the first time the media was able to see Tennessee basketball's practice, I don't think he was participating. I believe he had an injury of some sort. I want to think ankle, knee, some sort that was kind of keeping him out of practice. But the vibe I got is that was just, making sure everything's okay. You don't want to push him too hard, obviously, at the very beginning here. But that just seems to me like if you're looking for, and, this is before I learned that Troy Henderson was kind of turning heads and before I learned that Dwayne Brown was kind of outperforming his expectations early as well. It just seemed like he was the most surefire, like, Barnes is going to find a way to get this guy in the court because he loves those guys who absolutely lock in on defense. And that's what Evans' thing is. Like, he's a junkyard dog in that respect. He's going to be an all-level or a high-level SEC defender. I truly believe that. Not sure what his impact's going to look like year one. It just really depends on how well he can get up to speed quickly. But I believe in his ceiling.
I'm right there with you. He's a top 50 player in 247 Sports. He was right there at number 50 nationally, number 11 shooting for small forward in his class in 2025. Big win from Overtime Elite, but he's a 6'10" wingspan as a 6'5" guy. I mean, he's long, rangy. Seems like he's a long-term 3 for Tennessee. You might get Nate Ament at the 4, and you might get some Amari Evans at the 3 this season, and that's a big-time, intriguing 3-4 duo. Super young, but super switchy and super high floor or high ceiling guys that are going to make their debuts for Tennessee hoops this season. We'll come back with our conversation with college basketball expert, Will Warren. He runs the Stats by Will Substack, where he covers all of college basketball and does it at an elite level, local Tennessee guy as well. So we'll pick his brain on Tennessee hoops, and we'll also talk some national and SEC hoops questions for Will. And we'll continue on here on hour number 1, right here on the Chase Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Stick with us with a whole lot more with the Chase right after this.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville. 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. Online at fanrunradio.com and streaming on the free Fan Run Radio app. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hey Knoxville, Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Where are the best ribs in the Volunteer State? Rickard Ridge. Who has the best barbecue catering packages in East Tennessee? Rickard Ridge. And where's the most beautiful setting to enjoy a meal with family and friends? Rickard Ridge. Rickard Ridge Barbecue. Just a quick ride up I-75, take exit 134, hang a right, and Rickard Ridge is on your left, just inside Cove Lake State Park.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Costa at Knoxville Smiles. Here at Knoxville Smiles, we're all about making it easier for you to see the dentist. That's why we're now open until 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If going to the dentist in the morning or during normal business hours doesn't fit your busy schedule, come see us a little later. Call 865-539-1776 to schedule your appointment, or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Ready to launch your career? Axel Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axel proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axel, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axel Logistics is the place to start your career.
This is Coach Josh Heupel. In football and life, you need a solid defense to protect what matters most. That's where Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee comes in. Score peace of mind with Farm Bureau Insurance, the official insurance of the Vols. They're your line of defense. FBITN.com.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance of the Tennessee Vols. I'm here to be that line of defense for all your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871 and go Vols.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Longtime friend of the program, of the podcast. It's Stats by Will, one of the best college basketball writers going right now. You can read him over there on Substack, statsbywill.substack.com. He's a UTK alum, very plugged in, obviously, on Tennessee hoops as well. Will Warren, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, my man. I'm happy to be back. Congrats on the show. This is our first convo since you got this little radio show going.
This is, but not our first convo. We've talked so many, like for several years now, Will. You and I have talked all things college basketball in Tennessee. So it's good. You got to go to the beach last week to recharge. And a lot of folks don't know that you're a big marathon guy. You're an avid runner. You're all over the place, Will.
Yeah, but scarier than marathoning, I got to mow in like an hour, and that's giving me more anxiety than a marathon ever does.
You're mowing at 2:30 here in late June in East Tennessee?
It's supposed to rain at 4, and it's rained like 6 days in a row. And so I was just like, I got this window, and I got to take advantage right now, regardless of how bad it's going to suck.
Goodness gracious. Well, you're a trooper, Will. Good luck to you on that front. I can't help you. I'll be doing a radio show right here. But, Will Warren...
They offer, like, priests for that and such. Yeah, you could find a priest, call in, and, it could be last rites. You don't know.
That's right. Thank you, Will Warren. But, Will, we're going to talk some college basketball hires. You did a deep dive because Will is one of the funniest writers going, and I mean that in a very positive way in terms of he's very subtle. Like, if you know Will, you know how, like, you know if that's a dig or not. He's very dry. There's a reason that he and I both love Nathan Fielder and Nathan for You in the rehearsal. It's that same kind of deal where Will is great. He's very direct, but he's very funny and very fair in his college basketball writing. But you did a deep dive in all of your different grades for college basketball hires this cycle. So I want to ask you, which hires have grown on you since you wrote that, and which hires have gotten worse in your mind since you wrote that piece?
Grown on me, it's going to depend. I need to see the season go on from here and such. But I will say I'm rosier on Jay Lucas, or Jai Lucas, however you say it, at Miami, than I was when that hire first came out. Because, that hire comes out, I'm pretty certain, before the ACC tournament. He was still a part of that Duke staff. And just at the time, I thought, God, that's a really weird time to announce this. I don't understand why you couldn't have waited. And obviously, I know portal season and recruiting season kind of wait for no one at this point based on how the calendar works. But, all that aside, I am quite impressed just with the pure level of talent he's got on the roster. You got Trey Donaldson, who was instrumental in Michigan's Sweet 16 run last year. Malik Renault, who I think is going to really benefit from a change of scenery, leaving Indiana and kind of the wonkiness of that whole offense for this. Drew Washington, who I adored at New Mexico, incredible perimeter pest. Ernest Uday Jr., good little piece to have as well. Talented freshman class. I don't know that I would pick them to make the tournament right now, but they're going to be way closer to it this year than they were the last couple under Big Jim, or Old Jim, however you want to say it. I suppose hires that have grown off of me a bit, ones that maybe I liked a little more at the time, but, the more I see them, the wobblier I get on them. I have to admit, based on this first roster and based on the pool I thought they would have, I am a little worried about Darian DeVries.
Interesting. Why are you worried about DeVries at this point? Oh, did we lose Will? Will, are you there?
Player.
Oh, there you are, Will.
I'm there.
So why are you out on DeVries?
But I was saying, you get his son, who's an awesome player, and you got two other guys I really like in this roster, Lamar Wilkerson and Peyton Connerway, especially from Troy. Though I do worry about Connerway's ability to scale up. And then the rest of the roster is kind of just guys, in a way, nothing you're really excited about or thrilled over. I was hoping for more for year one, and what it kind of looks like, sight unseen, is a bubble team. And I kind of think, based on the last few years, and, you don't want to speed up the process too hard at a new hire, but at Indiana right now you kind of need more than a bubble team. And so I'm a little worried about, can they recruit and can they get in the right portal guys?
Hey, Will, this is Ethan. I wrote a piece about Florida just a little bit ago about how they're reloading with Boogie Fland and obviously Xavier Lee at Princeton. Do you think they're going to take a step back? Do you think they're going to take a step forward? I mean, how do you kind of see them moving next year? Do you think they could be a UConn?
Probably about the same, I think. I think they'll be about as good as they were last year, which is a nightmare for all of us listening. I just think they bring back functionally the same exact front court minus one piece. Thomas Hawk is back, Condon is back. Xavier Lee, I think, is going to benefit. It's another change of scenery guy I'm really interested in. That Princeton offense last year was so frustrating to watch. My buddy John Fendler compared it to sort of living off of your past work and not trying. Like last year's team should have been way better than they were. Boogie Fland, I think, definitely going to benefit from playing in a real offense. The swing piece for me, if they're better or worse last year, strangely enough, is Urban Klapsar. He came on a little bit out of nowhere late in the year last year, sort of got phased out late in the tournament. I think they realized he couldn't play defense. But he is a very good offensive piece, really fun, a bit chaotic, I will say, a little chaotic. So I wonder how that works with Todd Golden, who, does not really feel like on the court, not a chaotic coach. Off the court, absolutely. But that's a team I still like as like top 5, top 10.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in again right here and steal one from Chase. What do you think is going to be the most fun roster to watch this year, and why is it Louisville?
I think Louisville's got a pretty darn good shot at it. They're going to be it's a lot of fun. I do worry about perhaps too many cooks. I think they might have added like one too many pieces for that team, because on face value, I think offensively they're going to be awesome. They're going to score a lot. They're going to play really fast. It's really hard for a Pat Kelsey team to suck offensively. The problem is they might suck defensively. There's some gaps on there I don't love. I still think it's obviously a really darn good team with a lot of talent, one of the best transfer classes out there. But I just don't love the wing defense much at all. And I kind of wonder, like I said, do you have one too many cooks in the backcourt? Because usually a team would be pretty happy to have two, if Ryan Conwell, Adrian Woolley, Isaac McNeely, and not to mention, Javon Hadley, Kobe Rogers, etc. They've got all of those guys. And so you kind of wonder, how do the minutes work out? How does Anahan Mikel Brown Jr., the freshman recruit, work out there? How do you play the front court, especially with Ali Khalifa coming into eligibility once again after his season-ending injury last year? I like this team a lot. The problem is I can see where, and Kelsey sort of got rescued from this unintentionally last year by two injuries, most notably Kashawn Pryor. Kelsey loves to play guys like 10, 11 at a time, and rarely at Charleston did a guy crack more than about 25 minutes a game. I don't feel like Ryan Conwell or Woolley or McNeely, or especially Hadley returning, came back to play 25 minutes a game. So there's going to be an interesting philosophical push and pull there where I can see how they absolutely could end up top 5, or if the push and pull doesn't work the way it should, they could be like 22nd. And like you said, really fascinating team to watch.
The Louisville part of it to me that's going to frustrate me, I think, all year, Will, and I think we're on the same page here, is Isaac McNeely was the ideal, perfect Chaz Lanier replacement at the 2, and he's in now a crowded situation at Louisville. Mm-hmm. And it just made so much sense for both sides that he was your number 2. He was your 2 guard at Tennessee next year. He'd get more opportunity. It was a better fit. And now Tennessee has questions at the 2. And Louisville is wondering about how they're, like what you're talking about, too many cooks in the kitchen. This just feels one where like both sides lost in the McNeely-Tennessee marriage that never was.
Yeah, I would agree. I think with McNeely in particular, it would have worked really well offensively. I think they would have had to hide him a bit defensively. So I can kind of see, maybe Louisville's a slightly better fit because they play a little more zone principle. But it's not as if Tennessee hasn't hid, lesser defenders before. I mean, one of them's playing for the Lakers now. So yeah. I think it would have worked well. It is a bummer, that and the Rodney Rice situation, both tough L's for Tennessee to take in the portal.
Yeah, and we'll see, because ultimately they have options. You have the big unknown in Clarence Masamba. Could Amari Evans have more offensive upside than we previously anticipated? Could he hold his own at the 2? Because, obviously you're a big Bart Torvik and Kim Pom guy, like all of us are, and you see the projections. And this is one of the things that I think people kind of overlook with Tennessee is that so much has been made about moving on from Sakai Ziegler and Jemai Mashak to long-term Barnes lieutenants and great Vols. But Bart Torvik projects Tennessee as a number 2 defense in college basketball next year. And I think there's just been this expectation that you have all these defensive questions, and it's like, no, every year it's going to be the questions of offense. Can the offense be good enough to get to the Final Four, to get over the hump? And to me, Will, I think this offense has a higher ceiling than what we saw a year ago. But, man, if you had McNeely, I still think, you might struggle a little bit more defensively with him and Gillespie and what that would look like. But, man, that still is a top 10 defense probably. And you're probably looking at a top 20-ish offense, especially with McNeely shooting along with Gillespie, who's a 40+% three-point shooter. And Nate Ament, I think, is going to be a premier scorer, 3-level scorer for you. We'll see what Jalen Carey is. I don't know. Well, it might all play out, and we might just look back at, hey, Tennessee figured it out, whether it's Abram, whoever at the 2, and they're just fine because Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie are that good. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're a piece away. I also just kind of really like this team, all things considered. I mean, is there a path to this offense being better than in the 30s next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they could be. It's going to depend on a few different variables for me. Now, one guy I'm going to note you didn't mention, whether intentional or not, is Bishop Boswell. We've seen, not to an unforeseen amazing level, but we've seen that profile, that level of recruiting rank, and, didn't play much as a freshman, but had a little more opportunity as a sophomore. We've seen that work in the SEC where guys take a significantly larger leap than you'd expect year over year. And Boswell, recruited more, actually a little more as an offensive guy, but, I think it was good that, he's got strength, he's physical, and he already showed last year, I thought, not amazingly, but, I thought he acquitted himself fine for a freshman, that he can hold it up on defense, just, fine.
Yeah.
If his shot can develop a little bit, if he can, frankly, speed up the release somewhat, I can see him playing a lot more, get 15, 16, 17 minutes a night for him. We've seen those sort of surprise leaps come about. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Boswell this year to kind of help out there. Offensive ranks question, it's funny to just, say 2 names and call it a day, but it really is hyper-dependent on can Jacoby Gillespie handle being the lead guard, and can Nate Ament scale up real fast as a freshman. And everything we've read and heard from draft guys, I've yet to talk to one who doesn't see Ament as at worst like a top 6 freshman in this class. That's pretty darn good. And I mean, there's a very real and I would probably say likely path to where he's the lead scorer. So maybe that can take some off of Gillespie. You're going to have Akpara for lobs and occasional post-ups. Carey can shoot it a little. Abram is an SEC athlete. It's just you kind of have to think, hopefully the case here is one of those 2 guys at least is going to be awesome on an average night, and then you get the role pieces to step up alongside.
It's Will Warren joining us right here on The Chase, his first appearance, hopefully, of many right here on The Chase. And, Will, we can check you out over there on Substack, statsbywill.substack.com, to read all of Will's premium college basketball analysis, so make sure you give Will a look there. Will, thank you so much for the time today. Good luck in the yard, on the turf this afternoon. I know it's going to be you're going to do fine. You're going to get it in. The yard's going to look great, and it'll be all good. But Will Warren, thank you so much for joining us. I greatly appreciate the time, and we'll check back in again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
There you have it. Will Warren, statsbywill.substack.com. Make sure you give him a look there and all of Will's awesome college basketball analysis, including a lot of Tennessee analysis as well. So Will, one of the best college basketball, Tennessee basketball minds here in the biz, and a UTK alum, so always great to check in with Will. We'll continue on our Tennessee conversation. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk a whole lot more just Tennessee Vols as a whole, because recruiting still picking up, and we got a lot more to talk about here on The Chase on a Thursday with Saturday on South's Ethan Stone. Stick with us. It's where we have more right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 AM 1340. We'll be back right after this.
Are you tired of trying to squeeze your dental appointments in on your lunch break or before you go to work? Here at Knoxville Smiles, we're all about making going to the dentist easier. That's why we're now open until 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. To take advantage of our new evening hours, make your appointment now at KnoxvilleSmiles.com or just call us at 865-539-1776. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Do you love to gamble? Do you enjoy listening to people talk about gambling? Well, then I have some good news for you. Every weeknight at 6 p.m., you can hear John Reed and William Pattison go over the slate, thanks to our friends at VIP Play. Sports topics aren't always black and white, but on the slate, they are always green. Nothing but trends, angles, and bets to try to make you some money. The Slate, presented by VIP Sports on Fan Run Radio, weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m.
Airlines have just reduced their prices even more. Book 30 days in advance and save big.
Want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets? Then call the Low Cost Airlines Travel Hotline right now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. The only way to access our low rates and save up to 70% is to call. Save hundreds on your vacation tickets by calling right now. You can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-631-1754. 800-631-1754. 800-631-1754. That's 800-631-1754.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Download that free Fan Run Radio app so you can listen wherever, whenever, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Eastern Time, right here in the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. And on Thursdays, you get Saturday Down South's Ethan Stone joining us to talk all things Tennessee Vols and a whole lot more. You can also listen to us on 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. You can call us at 865-966-3435 to join the Tennessee Hoops discussion if you want to do that. We'll also talk some Tennessee football recruiting here in a second, Ethan Stone, but we have to continue on with our Tennessee basketball coverage here. The SEC schedule gets leaked here today, and it's hard, man. We were talking before we came in that this is an arduous schedule for the Vols and who they're going to have home and aways with. When you look at this schedule that Tennessee gets, we don't know specific dates. Outside of Mercer is where we know that Tennessee will open on the men's hoop front. But when you look at who Tennessee is paired with in the SEC this year, it looks pretty arduous, right?
Yeah, and obviously Mercer, I think that was announced just a little bit ago that Mercer's going to be the first team Tennessee played. I didn't see a date, but, not too important, but, obviously facing the Bears first. And then, man, as far as the SEC schedule goes, man, the first thing that jumps out to me is Tennessee gets Florida and Arkansas, probably two of the three best teams in the SEC on the road. Obviously not too ideal in that situation, but, at the same time, the SEC is going to be tough once again. It's probably not going to be what it was last season. It'll take a slight step back, but that's still pretty darn good considering it was one of the best conferences in college basketball history last season. So, Florida and Arkansas on the road, that's going to be tough. Missouri is a sneaky tough road matchup, I think. South Carolina, they've got a great stadium down there, a great atmosphere. Although they're going to be one of the probably lesser teams in the SEC, I think that'll be a fun game as well. they get Auburn at home, Texas A&M at home. I think those are 3 positives for Tennessee for sure. And then obviously Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt are your home and road matchups. So you get to, obviously we knew that Kentucky and Vanderbilt were going to be in that boat, but Alabama's going to be another good team. They've switched up quite a lot. They've got a lot of new guys in there. Mark Sears isn't coming through that door, but they do have a pretty decent transfer class. I'm excited to see the Taylor Bowen out of Florida State. He's a guy that's kind of flying under the radar. I think is going to be good for Alabama and Nate Oates' system specifically. But yeah, a lot of intrigue for sure in this new schedule, Chase.
Yeah, and I think it's a great year to get Florida home and home off the schedule. I'm glad. I mean, you still have to go to Florida, which, I mean, their road schedule is tough. We don't have to worry about where Tennessee is going to get looked at in terms of strength of schedule. They're going to have a lot of tier 1 games on their calendar here, and it's going to be tough. I mean, Arkansas, we both think are going to be one of the best teams in the SEC. Florida, obviously, right there. I mean, South Carolina, I think, right there at the bottom. It's likely going to be another rough season for Lamont Paris and the Gamecocks. At Georgia, at the Steg, that's going to be ugly. For whatever reason, Tennessee in Athens is just never fun.
Yeah.
So I don't love that. I mean, Zakai's best game this past year was Georgia at home. So you feel a lot better when you have Mike White and company coming up here. But you can just see that one being something in our group chat where we're like, oh, get out of here with a win. This is just going to be a miserable experience. But you look at the home games that they're going to have. Obviously, it's going to be fun to get Bama here. And Bama at home and home, folks, if you don't realize this, Rick Barnes has really dominated Nate Oates of late. And that is something where you're like, ooh, I don't love getting Bama twice. I kind of love getting Bama twice because Rick Barnes has had a really good showing here the last couple of years, dominating that matchup between the two. So I don't know what it is about Oates style versus Barnes style. Obviously, the game of the year with Jemai Mashak's buzzer beater against the Tide this past season was great, but I do think that's a much welcome addition to get Bama over Florida as a home and home this year. Obviously, Kentucky and Vanderbilt will be highly contested, but I think Vanderbilt takes a step back a little bit, so Tennessee should be in good shape there. Kentucky will obviously be a dogfight in both instances. We expect Kentucky to be one of the best teams once again at the top of the SEC, but the home schedule does kind of leave a lot to be desired. I think Ole Miss might take a major step back this year. Texas is a huge unknown with Sean Miller coming in here. A&M, I think, takes a step back, obviously. Yeah. They could be one of the – A&M, the buckyball stuff, that just feels like a lot of boom or bust to me, where either it catches on right away and you see some stuff, or it's ugly and bad right out of the gate. So A&M could be a really bad team in the SEC next year. So Oklahoma should be near the bottom. Missouri – I don't know, maybe towards
Missouri and A&M both are kind of on that level where I'm like, I couldn't tell you because A&M surprisingly, I mean, I like Bucky McMillan. I think he's a great head coach, and I think he's going to win a lot of games at Texas A&M. I'm surprised he got a roster together that is as decent as it is, to be honest, because he was kind of late to the party too.
Yes.
So yeah, for sure. And one more thing I'd add, Chase, is just kind of thinking about it right now, the non-conference slate. Tennessee doesn't have any real like away games that like jump off the page to me. I mean, like in fact, I'm not really sure they have any of them that are gonna end up being a quadrant 1, even quadrant 2 game when it comes down to it. So in a way, it is good that you get Florida and Arkansas, so you can kind of like you can prove yourself and you can say, hey, we had to go into these 2 really, really tough road environments against 2 really, really good teams where you don't really have that in the non-conference slate. And now you've got tough teams. I mean, Houston, obviously Rutgers is going to take a step back. Illinois, I don't know if Rutgers, I'm not sure if that's actually going to be one of them. But Houston, Illinois, obviously going to be good games. And then Louisville, getting the Cardinals at home, that's going to be massive. So a lot of good non-conference games, and then I think even though it kind of looks a little daunting at face value, I think that having not Kentucky, well, obviously Kentucky and Florida and Arkansas on the road and SEC play is going to turn out to be a good thing.
I think that's fair. We'll see ultimately how it all plays out. I do love the home schedule for Tennessee. Tennessee's going to have a fantastic home record. I'm just going to go out on record say here that Tennessee dominates at home. So for all the folks wondering, hey, how do I plan my TBA experience? Is there certain games? No, Tennessee's going to be in good shape for the majority. So there aren't some like, I don't know if Tennessee's going to be able to handle this one. They're going to be in good shape. I think Tennessee, more often than not, is going to be just fine inside Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena.
With the new Jumbotron.
Oh, is that going to be ready?
I think so.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Can they also just turn the volume down? Is that an old guy thing? But it's very loud. It's a very loud experience.
Our good friend Ryan Shumpert would agree with you there. Man, it seems like he tweets that at least once or twice a year, and I cannot agree with him more.
Yes.
It's too loud. Like, that's my – I'm going to agree with Ryan and say that's my old man yelling at cloud take is it's too loud at TV, at Food City Center. Way too loud. Turn it down, like a couple notches.
I don't know. Y'all are the young guns here, producer Jay and producer Garrett. Is it too loud to y'all, or is it just a us situation?
The Jumbotron?
No, just the volume.
The volume.
Inside TBA for a basketball game.
No, I like it. I mean,
okay.
It depends where you sit, though. I mean, if you get there early and you're sitting close to the floor, you know, you're kind of immersed in the atmosphere. If you get there later and you're up in the 300 section, I remember last year, me and my buddies, we went to the Florida game, and one of my buddies got there late, and we had pretty good seats, like right behind the basket, and he showed up like 5 minutes before tip. And we were trying to save him a seat, and it didn't work out. So I was like, screw it, I'll just go sit with him. We'll go find another seat somewhere because our other like 4 or 5 buddies were already sitting. So we went up to the top, and we sat like behind the suites. And for a brief, like, we went to a different seat eventually. But the original seat that we sat in, you couldn't even see one of the baskets because it was behind the suites. And we were like, I don't know. It just seemed like a slap in the face as a student that pays tuition. That's a seating arrangement that could be made to somebody. But I mean, it was fine. We ended up sitting in a good seat, and we got a good view, and it was a good win and everything. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the atmosphere. It just kind of depends, I guess, where you are in the arena.
I like it being loud. You know what I mean? I never noticed the stadium sounds being too loud. That's just something that I haven't noticed.
Okay.
Maybe I'll look out for that this year. But I mean, you know, obviously, when it's a big game, I like it to be as loud as possible.
Where are the speakers located? I'm starting to think this might just be a press row problem.
I don't think someone who is not on press row,
I mean, it's been. I have noticed the times that I've gotten a headache were back when I worked for the Beacon and I was covering games. I would get a headache. I'm not kidding, Chase. Every single game. And honestly, the more I think about it, the recent games I've been to when I've just been kind of all around the arena, it hasn't been as bad. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's like overly loud.
Yeah.
This might be a press row thing, Chase. I don't know.
I will say with the schedule too this year, like as a student, like I know some of those matchups might not be like premier matchups or whatever, but like I think it's good to get like a variety. Like those are like a lot of those teams we're playing are like previous SEC West teams, which like I don't know. It just seems like we never really like getting Texas and Oklahoma at home. Like I feel like that's kind of fun. Getting Texas A&M at home. Yeah. I know we played them a couple years ago, but like at home. But that's still like a fun game. I feel like.
Yeah, and I like seeing some non-conference games at home other than Syracuse, like Louisville. Louisville. Who's the other team at home?
There's most of them are neutral. Most of the good non-conference games are neutral.
I know there's the Players era.
Yeah, and then we have like I think it's like North Florida, North Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, or something at home. Well, like it's just the bye games, and obviously there's still some to be announced as well.
It's good to get Louisville at home at least.
Yeah. We'll see how it all unfolds, but still a long way to go to forecast how these games are going to be, who's good, who's not, especially in SEC play, because I think outside of the top tier of Kentucky, and outside of Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, that's probably it in that tier 1 for me. And then we'll see on the rest. I think Auburn and Alabama are kind of in that. Could they join tier 1? It would not be surprising, sure, but I can't put them there. I think it feels like a step back year for them. But what does a step back for Auburn and Alabama actually look like? I just think it's more of a tier 2 type deal for them, fringe kind of group. And then everything else is just completely up for grabs other than South Carolina. I think South Carolina would be the one where if they vaulted into the middle ground, that tier 2 type deal, that'd be a huge surprise, I think, for all of us.
I think I'd add Mississippi State to that. I think a lot of people would disagree, but I think Josh Hubbard's fun. I think Quincy Ballard's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Outside of that, man, someone would have to really, really surprise me times like 3 for me to believe that Mississippi State's going to be one of those teams. So I'd throw them in there as well.
It's just a Chris Jans bump, right?
Yeah.
Like you just assume he might be able to get more out of nothing. If there was a guy who was going to do it in the SEC, Chris Jans was probably the guy to do that. Before we wrap up here, hour number 1, to get into hour number 2, Ethan, one of the things that happened this week, some more and more recruiting buzz. So Iverson Garcia, the Powell defensive tackle, he ends up committing to South Florida this week on the interior. But then right after, a 4-star who was in the building for this weekend, 4-star teammate of TJ White of Mississippi, he shut down his visit to Mississippi State back in the home state. So Darron Albert is nearing a decision, and it's probably a good sign for the Vols that he is not going to take that OV in the final weekends of OV, and that's important for folks to remember. It's going to be a long dead period after this weekend, so Tennessee has got a lot of big OVs coming in, but obviously the Jackson Academy 4-star interior guy, Darron Albert, canceling that visit seems like a positive momentum sign, especially because TJ White, I think, listed the Vols as his number one coming out of his weekend visits at Tennessee this weekend. So 2 Mississippi guys, and then obviously you're chasing Tristan Keys as well, a 5-star Hattiesburg, Mississippi receiver that we'll talk about here in a second. But I think it's pretty interesting because I think fans are kind of on this roller coaster where they're like, oh, no, Iverson Garcia, local kid, another local interior guy. I mean, Walter Nolan, obviously a bigger prospect as a 5-star who ends up at Texas A&M at the time, and later transfers to Ole Miss to wrap up his college career. Another Powell guy. Powell produces a lot of great players. Matt Lowe does a really great job with his program with the Panthers, but you also lose Tyron Evans, who is a 3-4-star fringe, depending on which recruiting service you're looking at. He decommits this week, and a lot of fans are like, uh-oh. Well, you still have Tyreek King, who is a freak athlete at Knoxville Catholic. He's in the boat, solid 4-star across the board, speedster. Looks like he has a bright future on Rocky Top. He's still in the boat. And they also had Legend Bay, which is my favorite recruiting name here in this cycle for Tennessee. He's a Texas kid. I think he plays quarterback right now for his school. But it seems like Tennessee might be in good shape there. And you're not trying to take more than, 3 anyway? So if you lose Evans, but you still land Tristan Keys and Legend Bay, and look, Keys is still, you got to flip him, and it's going to be really hard to flip him from the Bayou Bengals down there in Baton Rouge. But that seems like a Tennessee-LSU battle. And if Tennessee can win there, keep Tyreek King in the boat, and then add somebody like Legend Bay, that's a really good 3-man class. So I encourage people to not overreact. So it's like Iverson Garcia, how does he go to USF over Tennessee? And then it's like, oh, well, guess what? Then you might get Darron Albert here, who's a 4-star interior guy, higher ranked guy, bigger position. Like, it's just, there's going to be, you're not going to get everybody. You have to get your fair share. But I've seen some fans, because I think you get frustrated where it's like, oh, Tennessee's in a good spot for so-and-so, and then it doesn't happen. You're like, oh, that's just modern recruiting. It's all like, I don't like it anymore, whatever. Recruiting is still the lifeblood of Tennessee football. It is still, high school recruiting that is still the lifeblood of Texas football, of Georgia football, of Ohio State. I think people get frustrated and they go way too far in terms of like, oh, it's all about the transfer portal anyway. No, it's not. Like, you have to be in the blue chip ratio with your high school talent. You have to retain your blue chippers over a 4-year span. You need to have a roster over 50% in the blue chip ratio to win a national title. You need to stockpile these guys, retain the ones you want to keep, but also sign these guys so they're in your system for multiple years. These blue chip guys that Tennessee has done an excellent job of bringing in. This has the potential to be the best class in the Heupel era to this point. Don't overreact. You're not going to get everybody you want to get. You might get one local kid who has a high upside guy, Luke Thompson, the safety out of Franklin, and then you also might miss on a local guy like Iverson Garcia to USF and Alex Golish. That's okay, but the idea that Tennessee, it's all about the transfer portal is just wrong. Like, that's just not where we're at. The premier programs are still building through the high school ranks, and for every Ole Miss and Florida State, the vast majority of the true contenders year over year, and the best way to remain a contender is to stack elite high school recruiting classes. It still matters, and this idea that I've seen floated around sometimes by fans is like, oh, it's all about the portal anyway. No, it's not. Look at Tennessee's portal class this season. This whole offseason for Tennessee was about retaining their guys, retaining Boo Carter, retaining Mike Matthews, retaining their big names. And their biggest addition on the offensive line, David Sanders, 5-star, offensive tackle, plug-and-play guy right out of the gate. For every Lance Hurd who you get out of the portal, so many more guys are guys that you retained at the high school level who are blue-chip players that you want in your system for multiple years to be a part of your program, learn your system, and to see it through. The portal is to replenish or just shore up depth. That is what the portal is. If you have a hole right here, then we plug it with that. But the vast majority of these consistent contenders in the sport of college football is still at the high school ranks. So everybody breathe. Like, I understand Iverson Garcia, Tyron Evans, like that hurts a little bit. But let's see the next couple weeks play out. Who knows? You might get Albert and TJ White and Tristan. You might go on a run here over the next couple weeks. So a lot still to get to on the recruiting front, and we'll keep talking about it here every day right here on The Chase. But I just had to say that, Ethan Stone. It was something I've seen this week, and I'm like, folks, let it play out over the next couple weeks. Let's breathe. There's a lot still to be decided on the recruiting front for this 2026 Tennessee football recruiting cycle. So more of The Chase coming up here at the top of hour number 2. We'll have Nick Days of Veterans Minimum on to talk NFL betting, favorites, over-unders, team win totals, all that. At the end of the hour number 2, we'll talk some NFL coverage as a whole with Ethan Stone, our resident Chicago Bears fan. We'll talk to G5 Garrett as he continues his Sun Belt preview with Marshall going into 2026. We'll also talk about Urban Meyer making a pick early on Tennessee, Florida for next season. So we'll talk about that as well. So jam-packed hour number 2 right here on The Chase. Stick with us. It's Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. We'll be right back after this.
When it's past high noon, it's time for a vodka soda made with a vodka you've actually heard of. I'm talking White Claw vodka soda made with White Claw premium vodka. JB Smooth only drinks vodka soda made with the world's smoothest vodka.
And you can too. Pick you up a bottle of the triple wave filtered vodka that's been distilled 5 times. White Claw Premium Vodka comes in 4 flavors: black cherry, mango, pineapple, and just vodka. You haven't had vodka like this. No one has. White Claw Premium Vodka. Please drink responsibly.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional.
I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves.
You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I guess, but isn't that how everyone does it now?
Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if we're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics.
SM Athletics?
Yeah, they specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear, but real, customized stuff. They actually care if it turns out right.
Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100 t-shirts with crooked logos.
Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, so it matches the image we're trying to build.
Makes sense. What's the name again?
SM Athletics. Trust me, if you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Your tax refund belongs to you, not an identity thief. Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft last year. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. They monitor and alert you to identity threats you'd miss on your own, even if you're careful with your personal information. And if you do become a victim of tax-related identity fraud, LifeLock has U.S.-based restoration specialists ready to help solve your identity theft issue. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. Let LifeLock help protect your financial info, so all you have to worry about is what you do with your tax refund. Go to LifeLock.com, save up to 25% off your first year. The promo code is HERD, promo code HERD, to save up to 25% off your first year. LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
It's The Chase! It's The Chase! Live 1 to 3, Monday through Friday on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Listen to Chase and his friends on WKGN. It's the Chase. It's the Scruffy City. Listen to his friends, and his friends are on WKGN. I'm always taking your calls on the Tennessee Vols. It's the Chase. It's the Chase. It's the Chase.
It's the Chase here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. My name is Chase Thomas as we start hour number 2 with Saturday on South, Ethan Stone, as he is here every Thursday right here on the Chase Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Thank you for sticking with us in hour number 2. Week number 3 right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. You can watch us on the Fan Run Fox Sports Knoxville YouTube channel live there. You can also watch us, or you can also listen to us on 105.7 FM, 1340 AM each and every day. You can call us and join the conversation at 865-966-3435 Monday through Friday right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Ethan, as we kick off hour number 2, the NFL. We're going to bounce around some NFL things here that I thought were pretty interesting. And Jair Alexander, he was a teammate of Lamar Jackson back in the day, and he joins up with the Ravens to fill out what's already a loaded secondary. But the Ravens just, I think we were talking about this with producer Jay yesterday, was they just do smart things. They just quietly, let's just add Jair Alexander. It didn't end well, obviously, in Green Bay, but let's just sign him. Let's just do that, and then it's just fine. Like, you look at the Ravens roster, and when you forecast next year, and everyone just spends so much time on the Bills with Josh Allen and Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and rightfully so. The Ravens are just always looming, and then I saw this headline, Lamar Jackson seeks vengeance for a playoff loss amid extension talks. Like, what year is this? I just feel like this is every year. Lamar Jackson he's really upset about how the season unfolded, and last year, obviously, Mark Andrews played a big role in the season ending for those Baltimore Ravens. But I don't know. What do you make of the signing of Jair Alexander and the Ravens fired up again after a unfortunate early playoff loss?
Well, I'll say this. I certainly hope it works out for him. And on paper, that's a fantastic signing. But there's a reason the Packers let go of him. And it's, unfortunately, because he can't quite stay healthy, and he hasn't lately. And, he's getting up there in age. I can't remember exactly how old he is. But, obviously the injury issues are the reasons the Packers.
28.
Yeah, the Packers eventually decided, hey, it's probably time that we look elsewhere there. But, like you say, with Hamilton, Clemson kid, Nate Wiggins, I think entering year 2 now, the Ravens secondary should be really, really good.
And they got Malachi Starks, too, in the draft.
Exactly.
Can we just read off their names in the secondary? It's
kind of insane. Like,
yes.
They have a really, really good defense once again.
Nate Wiggins, that you just mentioned, Kyle Hamilton, who's been one of the best safeties in the NFL out of Notre Dame, Malachi Starks out of Georgia, Jair Alexander now in the fold, and then Marlon Humphrey just right there at the nickel corner spot. So
how old is Marlon Humphrey?
Ooh, he's probably
he's up there in age.
He's 28 too.
Okay.
So they're both 28. Yeah.
If Alexander can stay healthy, I fail to hear an argument that's going to be better than them being there being a better secondary in football than what the Ravens have this year.
All 5 secondary starters are first-round picks.
Yeah.
All 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like, they just do things. They just operate in a different way than all of us. The Ravens just Eric DeCosta, the GM, it's just he replaces Ozzie Newsome, and they just business as usual, just great. Like, they just make smart decisions. It's not sexy. Then there will be times where they draft a center, and people are like, how do you take Tyler Linderbaum at undersized center in that first-round spot? And it's like, okay, he's just a multi-year great center and one of the best centers in football. They just know what they're doing. They're like, oh, Derrick Henry, I don't know. Does he have any juice left? Yep, Derrick Henry had juice left. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson is a great combination. The only hole right now for the Ravens, to me, is receiver.
Yep.
But I feel like that's been the case the last couple of years. They don't really seem to address it. Like Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and then DeAndre Hopkins, who I just don't think he has anything left. He didn't have anything left for the Chiefs down the stretch last year.
That hurts to see him in a Ravens jersey. Like, coming from a Titans fan, it just really hurts to see him in a Ravens jersey. Him and Derrick Henry, but man, I mean, I know.
Do you have like strong DeAndre Hopkins
Yes.
Titans memories?
He wasn't really. He had 1,000 yards, but I don't know. He was just he was so bought into Tennessee. I mean, he embraced Nashville and everything like that. I just love him for that. So
I'm
one of my favorite players.
Well, I'm gonna annoy some Tennessee Titans fans here. The Titans played the Falcons with DeAndre Hopkins in Nashville a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the Oilers jerseys.
Yes. One of the most egregious no offensive pass interference calls happened in that game. DeAndre Hopkins should be called for offensive PI every time he goes up for any ball. He had a bomb of a touchdown. Will Levis just unloaded. We don't talk about it. I was apoplectic at this moment.
Did you say Will Levis threw a touchdown?
He did. This was a couple years ago.
Rookie debut ever, maybe.
Yes.
He looked
I had
really
so
good.
many victory laps after that because I was convinced that Will Levis was going to be good. I had so many victory laps after that game. I thought he was going to be a superstar after.
I had 0 victory laps. I just had frustration, Jay. And D-Hop.
The Titans defense almost sold that game, too. I feel like people forget to.
Well, there was a big drop by Van Jefferson in that game, if I remember correctly, late by the Falcons. But D-Hop, just an offensive PI nightmare. And I just need to make sure that the record states I do not miss DeAndre Hopkins and the offensive pass interference plays that he gets away with all the time. He is good at it.
Yeah. OPI is like the most non-called that
yes.
should be called in like all of sports.
Yeah.
Like the amount of jawing that the receivers have on corners that is not called.
It's not fair.
But if a corner does it, it's it's DPI immediately.
It's a 50-yard penalty.
Yeah.
Spot of the foul.
But I had to get that off my chest. Diop, I don't miss the Diop experience in Tennessee. But we'll see in terms of if he has anything left because like we said, like he did not give anything to the Chiefs down the stretch this past year. And I mean, we talk about age. What is DeAndre Hopkins at this point?
He's like 34, 35.
When you get to the point where you start hopping teams like that,
yeah.
and you're there for 1 year, like I want to think Brandon Marshall did it at the end of his career as well.
He's trying to chase a ring.
It's just exactly. And I understand what they're trying to do, but it feels like that's when things start to fall off. I'd be surprised if he does anything. I'm with you, Chase. I think I'd be surprised if Flowers isn't really one of the only options they got there.
Yeah, and I mean, Rashad Bateman, another first-round guy, so they have invested a little bit. It's just they're kind of in that Packers zone to me, where the Packers are there have been so many great tweets about the Packers receiving core where it's just like all these wide receiver 4s. Mm-hmm. They just can't draft a wide receiver 1. Even this year they take a wide receiver 1 and like the worst wide receiver draft in a while with Matthew Golden. It's like, great, another wide receiver 3. They just don't have a 1. And Christian Watson I don't think is going to be available for a while, so I don't know. You look at that group, and the Packers they can't do it. They can't find their new age Greg Jennings.
Matthew Golden might surprise some people.
Maybe. I mean, he could as like a wide receiver 2 or 3, but he doesn't. Like, it's not. You're not drafting. Who would we say? Like an AJ Brown, a Drake London. Many are saying.
It feels like they wanted Christian Watson to be that guy, and he just. I don't know if
he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy, and obviously there's time to go still. We'll see, but I don't think he's on the path to being that guy for them.
No, the Packers and they've invested a lot there too. It's just none of these guys. Romeo Doubs hasn't worked out. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. You mentioned
Bo Melton.
Yeah, like Reed's another one. It's exactly the type you mentioned. Like he's a guy that's like, oh yeah, he's fine. He's fine. But like you need something a little better than that, especially considering I mean, Jordan Love, given all the expectations of coming behind Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and the guy you give him is a often injured Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, and Jaden Reed.
Yeah. Well, you're very invested in the demise of Jordan Love in the NFC North as a Bears guy, and the good folks watching us on YouTube can see the Bears Cup mug for Ethan Stone here. But the NFC North, I think, is going to be the most competitive that it's been in a long time. 1 through 4. The Bears picking up the slack finally. Ben Johnson in the fold. NFL.com did a really interesting deep dive into this by Kevin Patra, who's a really great NFL writer over there. And he did a case for and against the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings to win the division. I don't know if you all agree, but I think you could make a fair case, as Kevin does in the piece, that all 4 can win the NFC North this year.
I think all 4 can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they will. But this could be the first division in NFL history where all 4 teams make the playoffs.
I mean,
I don't think that's a crazy take at all. Like, they're all good enough to get to that point.
They could all easily be over 500.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for the Bears, the offensive line additions have to come together, right? Like, they all have to be good, healthy, and just be a whole lot better than what you saw last year under Caleb Williams. But it is crazy to look at just the amount of talent that Ryan Proles has assembled in Chicago. DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Olamide Zaccheaus, Colston Loveland, and Cole Kmet, man. Caleb Williams, it's not a situation where you're like, oh, who am I throwing to? Who do I have? Like, who? It's not the Green Bay Packers situation, I would say, at the playmaker spot. They have a lot of dudes. It's just they've invested so much on the offensive side of the ball that hiring an offensive-minded coach, I think, should pay dividends, but it's the Bears. The Bears are the ultimate, but then again, folks, who was believing that Dan Campbell and Jared Goff were going to become the kings of the NFC North, become preseason Super Bowl favorites going into last year with Jahmyr Gibbs, with Jared Goff, with that contract, with Dan Campbell? Oh, he's different. A lot of people just did not buy into the Dan Campbell hire early on. But the problem with the Lions, we have no idea what life is like without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Yep.
That's just hard to replace your two coordinators in the same offseason. Jared Goff, we'll see. Jahmyr Gibbs, that combination of him and David Montgomery, I think is going to be huge for them to keep this thing humming. Surprise offseason retirement on the offensive line for them. Aiden Hutchinson, how healthy is he and ready to go?
You get him back, though.
You do.
He was probably the best player on the team before he got injured, arguably.
Yeah. They just feel like they didn't really replace. They needed another pass rusher, even if he's not ready. I don't really understand why they haven't been active there. Maybe they're waiting on somebody to get cut, or I don't know what their weight is there. Maybe Jadeveon Clowney, because he hasn't signed yet, right? Clowney's still out there, right?
I don't think so. That would be a heck of an option for the Lions.
I mean,
to go
he wouldn't be too
if
bad.
that's your guy.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He's a good depth piece.
Yeah, good depth piece, exactly. Yeah.
So where do y'all lean?
Titans legend too.
Titans legend. Minnesota Vikings, we have no idea what J.J. McCarthy. They're the ultimate wild card to me.
I'm kind of the opinion that the Vikings are probably going to be last, but I don't think that they're going to be bad. I genuinely think this entire division is going to be really competitive. I think everyone's going to be really good. I would not be surprised if 3 teams made the playoffs again this season. I'm not sure I'm going to go as far to say 4 are going to make it, but I mean the entire division, there's talent everywhere. I mean, even with the Vikings, but you figure the Vikings kind of have the biggest question mark, which is McCarthy. He's had good reports out of camp, but what does that mean? He hasn't gone up against an NFL defense yet. How is that going to look when the lights are on and you have to make that pass with 1,000 dudes in your face? So I think the Vikings had the most question marks to answer, and because of that makes me just automatically assume that they're probably going to be 4th, right there with the Bears, because I just cannot force myself to believe that the Chicago Bears are going to have a great season. It's just kind of baked into who I am after watching them for the past 20 seasons, but it's hard for me to even put my pessimism to the side and say, hey, they got talent. This is probably the most talent, and I've said this on the show before, this is probably the most talent the Bears have had in a long time, especially on offense. And, when you pair that with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the talent that I think he can unlock with Williams specifically, it's got to make you a little excited.
I agree. Let's go down the list here as we wrap up segment number 1 here on hour number 2. Jay, 1 through 4. What do you have happening here in the NFC North?
I think the Lions win the division. I think the Vikings are going to be second place. They're going to be as good as J.J. McCarthy takes them, but he's in a almost perfect situation to succeed. So
okay,
I'll put the Vikings in at number 2. I think I'm going to put the Bears at 3. And I'm going to put the Packers at 4.
Whew. Okay. What about you, Garrett?
I would go Lions 1. I think Vikings 2. I feel like McCarthy, he didn't really have turnovers in college. I feel like if you can avoid turnovers, that's an important piece. You have the wide receiver core, you have the O-line. I feel like you can make that work.
He's in the situation to play game manager perfectly.
Yeah, and that's what he did at Michigan. And then I would say Packers and then Bears. Not that the Bears are going to be bad. I feel like you got to see it. They got to have a season where they're above 500 and then just start building on that.
Okay. And then Ethan?
Yeah, I'm going from pure history. I'm going to say the Lions are probably going to, well, I say pure history and then I put the Lions. But I think the Lions are probably the best put together roster, even losing Johnson and losing Glenn. I think I trust in what Dan Campbell's doing. So I'm going to put the Lions at number 1. I refuse to put the Packers any lower than 2. This is how I've lived my life, man. They are always good. I'm not going to believe that they're going to fall below the Bears until I see it, and then I'll put the Bears and the Vikings. I just don't know about the Vikings with McCarthy as their top guy. If he's the dude, then they're probably going to be the second best team in the conference. I'm just not sure I believe in him.
That's fair. I'll go Vikings 1. I believe in Kevin O'Connell the most and just where they're at. I'm going to go O'Connell 1 and the Vikings 1. I'll go Packers 2, Lions 3, and I'm sorry, Ethan. Until the Bears prove it.
Until they prove
Bears
it.
4.
Lions 3,
fair.
huh?
Yeah.
Lions 3. I don't love the Ben Johnson departure. I'm a little concerned. A lot of turnover there.
But, I mean, they still have all those weapons, and you get Aiden Hutchinson back.
We'll see what he comes back like. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty – he had a pretty
It-
brutal
it-
injury.
It does seem like their run is on the downward trend now than on.
I feel like they missed their moment.
They didn't get they should have won, or they should have at least made a Super Bowl in that time.
Yeah. It's harder for them to keep that momentum going.
Yes.
I mean,
Especially when
the
you don't have a
Lions.
franchise quarterback.
At least the NFC is wide
Lions.
open. At least they're not in the AFC.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like,
And
playing the NFC makes such a big difference.
Last point also, I know we've said this in many different ways. I'll say it in one other way. There's a very decent possibility all 4 of them in as top 15 teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying any of them are going to be bad.
It's like the new SEC West. There you go. Coming back here from the break, we'll talk some more G5 Garrett Marshall coverage. We'll talk some Tennessee Florida preview with Urban Meyer's perspective on that, and then we'll wrap with Nick Days of Veterans Minimum to talk some NFL gambling for 2025. So jam-packed back end of the show here on the Chase. Stick with us. It's Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, AM 1340, and also on the app. It's free. Fan Run Radio. Check that out today and download it if you're not already. We'll be back right after this.
For the fans, by the fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville. 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. Online at fanrunradio.com and streaming on the free Fan Run Radio app. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hey Knoxville! Surfside iced tea and vodka, made with real brewed tea, is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Where are the best ribs in the Volunteer State? Rickard Ridge. Who has the best barbecue catering packages in East Tennessee? Rickard Ridge. And where is the most beautiful setting to enjoy a meal with family and friends? Rickard Ridge. Rickard Ridge Barbecue. Just a quick ride up I-75, take exit 134, hang a right, and Rickard Ridge is on your left, just inside Cove Lake State Park.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Costa at Knoxville Smiles. Here at Knoxville Smiles, we're all about making it easier for you to see the dentist. That's why we're now open until 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If going to the dentist in the morning or during normal business hours doesn't fit your busy schedule, come see us a little later. Call 865-539-1776 to schedule your appointment, or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
Good afternoon. Sure hope you're having a great day. Beautiful sunshine being taken over by some afternoon clouds and some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. No severe weather threat, but some of those storms could become a little bit stronger with some strong gusty winds and some heavier rain, not to mention a little bit of hail as well. We're going to continue that trend as we get into our Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Heavy rain on the way, 1 to 2 inches possible over the next 7 days. That's your latest forecast. For regular updates, check in with the East Tennessee Weather app or online at easttnweather.com. From the East Tennessee Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Mike Witcher for Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
White Claw is taking hard seltzer to new heights with White Claw Surge. At 8% alcohol, White Claw Surge is a stronger wave of refreshment that doesn't compromise on taste. Available in 4 bold waves of flavor like ripe blackberry, citrusy blood orange, zesty natural lime, and tart cranberry. Check out your favorite retailer in-store and online for the White Claw Surge Variety 12-pack and 16-ounce single-serve cans. White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly.
Well, I started out.
It's the Chase here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Download that Fan Run Radio app if you're not already. It's free and easy to download, and you can listen to all of Fan Run and Fox Sports Knoxville's shows, 13 hours of content, Monday through Friday, right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. You can also watch us on YouTube, Fan Run, Fox Sports Knoxville, streaming live all day long as well. So if you want to join the program that way, you can do that. You can also call us on 865-966-3435. Again, you can call us with your Tennessee takes, or if you have a strong NFC North take based on our lively conversation before the break on the NFC North here, you can join the conversation always Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Eastern Time, 865-966-3435. Ethan, as we continue on here before we get Nick Day's Veterans Minimum in here to wrap up hour number 2, we're going to talk to Garrett. It's G5 Garrett. It's time for Marshall coverage. He was producing the drive yesterday, so we didn't get our Marshall update. But the Sun Belt getting hot, Garrett, because you got Louisiana Tech and ECU and all these questions about who's going to be in the Sun Belt going forward, WKU, CUSA questions, Liberty, do they make it in? So everything's hopping on in the Fun Belt there, sir. But what say you about Marshall with Tony Gibson now taking over, Charles Huff moving on to Hattiesburg to join the Southern Miss Golden Eagles? What do we need to know about the Thundering Herd?
Yeah, so as you said, Charles Huff obviously took the job at Southern Miss pretty much right after the season ended. Basically gutted their entire roster, which then led them to forfeit their bowl game in which they were supposed to play Army in the Shreveport Bowl. It was supposed to be an exciting bowl game against an Army team with Bryson Daly and all these exciting pieces against, a Marshall team that just came off a Sun Belt championship. Game's forfeited, and instead we got a Army basically running Louisiana Tech out of the stadium in the bowl game. But, happens. So, anyways, they this year I don't think is going to be a very good season for them. It appears that they really lack a lot of skill position. Their QB1 is most likely going to be Zion Turner. Started his career at UConn before then transferring to Jacksonville State, where he was the backup last season. He only has a little over 1,000 career passing yards in his career. Then they bring in as their RB1 Michael Allen from UNLV. Again, didn't get much playing time last year in Vegas. They do return Toby Payne as their tight end, who on 17 receptions last year had 6 touchdowns and 9.9 yards per catch. So that's going to need to be an asset that they're going to need to use more than just out of the red zone. Their O-line does return most of their talent from last year. I believe they have 3 O-line members that played all of their games last year, all 13 games. So that's an important piece for the offense. Their wide receiver room is essentially all new. They bring in names of Ben Turner, Antonio Harmon, who's a Mississippi State transfer, and DeMarcus Lacey from Jacksonville State. And once again, these skill position players essentially have not played at all in their career. So it's not good. The defense, and once again, they have a lot of turnover on the defensive side of the ball. If you look at the depth chart, there's a lot of transfers in there. They do bring in Boogie Trotter from Tennessee State. He was an FCS player, had 42 solo tackles, 3 interceptions last year. Mavay Myers had 29 tackles at MTSU, and Josh Pierre-Lewis from West Georgia, who recorded, I believe, 3 tackles last season. They do bring back Jadarius Green-McKnight and Dayton Smith, who were in the position group last year. And then in the linebacker room, they're going to bring in Javar Gilmore from Mississippi State and Jabril Al-Amin from Gilmore from Mississippi State, Al-Amin from Jacksonville State. And then up front, pretty much all transfers once again. So looking at their schedule, They open with just not what you want to see for them. They open with Georgia week 1. Then they'll play Middle Tennessee State, Louisiana, Coastal, Georgia State, App State, all on the road, and then they'll get Missouri State, a new Conference USA member. Eastern Kentucky is their FCS team. ODU, Texas State, James Madison, and Georgia Southern at home. Their Vegas win total is currently listed at 5.5, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I do not expect them to win 6 games and go bowl bound. I would say probably 4-8 to 5-7 season is what they would probably be looking at. I think they'll probably win maybe 2 Sun Belt games at home. I think they can probably beat Middle Tennessee State, and they should obviously win their FCS game. But other than that, I don't think there's too many guarantees on that schedule.
Bleak.
Yeah.
That was rough, Garrett.
Yeah.
I didn't if you're a Thundering Herd fan here in East Tennessee, I mean, it's tough. You know what's also crazy about this? They're not rebuilding because of a firing where things were bad.
No.
You just went 10-3, top of the Sun Belt. Charles Huff, by all accounts, was, I think, if you look at his record and what he was able to do with Marshall, he was a good Marshall coach, and he leaves you for Southern Miss because you couldn't come to a contract extension or whatever that weirdness that was looming over the program, but it feels like the last couple of years. And now you bring in a West Virginia guy in Gibson who has a lot of experience as a good DC, no experience, I believe, as a head coach to this point. He's just a huge wild card, and you replace so much production, 27% returning. That's it's actually dead last in returning production from a season ago of all 136 FBS teams.
Yeah.
Dead last.
That's going to be a recipe for – and when I saw that, I originally thought, well, they probably went out and, got some – usually when you do that, you try and get a mix of elite FCS players, some FBS guys at, the Power 4 level that never got a chance, and then some maybe lateral players at the G5 level. The way that they've constructed their roster this year, they just seem like they didn't go really get any FCS guys that had big seasons. They either went and got Power 4 players that redshirted and never played, or they got other G5 talent that didn't have significant numbers, which to me that's just a concern that they just don't have the skill position players to score points, frankly.
Man, we also need to get Deadpan Garrett here when he just is like, that's not good. And just very subtle. And we need some drops of Garrett's like, not good.
It's not good.
Well, we'll have to see, but I don't think it's – I hope they surprise me. I feel bad for their fans. I like their coach, Charles Huff.
Their ex-coach.
Ex-coach, yeah. Their coach from last season.
Yeah.
It just seems like he took kind of a lateral move to go to Southern Miss. I mean, Southern Miss was one of the worst teams in the country last year. I believe they went 2-10 or 3-9. He brings that roster with them this year, and they're immediately probably at least top 6 team in the Sun Belt this year, top 5 team in the Sun Belt this year. And he leaves Marshall, who's probably going to be one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the conference this year, if not the worst team in the conference. So, yeah, I mean, that sucks for their fan base. I feel like they care about football in Huntington as they do in Hattiesburg, where Southern Miss is. But, yeah, it's just kind of a tough situation to have your entire roster gutted out, especially in the era of college football that we're in when you, at the G5 level, can't really offer the NIL pockets that some of the bigger schools maybe be able to coax players to come.
There you go. G5 Garrett tapping in here. Let's do Jacksonville State tomorrow.
Okay.
The Gamecocks. Charles Huff coming in there to replace Rich Rod, who's also now in West Virginia at WVU. So we'll check back in with G5 Garrett tomorrow to wrap up here in this at the 2:30 hour right here on the Chase, Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Former Florida Gators head football coach, Ohio State national champion winning coach, Urban Meyer has a podcast, The Triple Option, and he predicted, and remember, Urban never did lose to Tennessee as the head football coach at Florida. He expects the Gators to keep their winning ways alive against the Vols in late November. And he said, quote, "Somehow Coach Napier, the staff, and leaders on that team ignored the noise and went out and played their best football at the end of the season," said Meyer. I think there's something there right now. So Zach Reagan of A to Z Sports pulling this from the Triple Option, the Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram, I think, podcast over there on the Triple Option. So I don't know. When you see that, Urban, I think he's pretty open. Urban is not like, it's not like a fluff thing. He's just only going to pick Florida or only going to pick Ohio State. But it is another guy. It's just, hey, until Tennessee goes down to Gainesville and beats the Gators for the first time since 2001 in Gainesville, I think it's fair to be like, hey, got to see it to believe it. But I ask you guys, when you think about the big three that Heupel hasn't won here at Tennessee to this point, in Gainesville, in Tuscaloosa, or Georgia outright, when you look at the 2025 schedule in particular, does Florida come in last to you in terms of most likely to win of the three, or are you more optimistic than even Urban Meyer is that Tennessee might have a shot here?
See, it's a tough question because I'd say Georgia's last. Even in Neyland this year, I think that's going to be a tough ask just because, Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs are always so stout there. At Tuscaloosa and at Gainesville, to me, is about as equal as you can get. I think I'd probably actually lean... I'd say it's probably going to be a little tougher to win in Tuscaloosa just because of kind of how last year went down. Obviously, Tennessee winning that one late, 24-17 against Alabama. And I feel like the rivalry there is more alive than Tennessee-Florida is right now. I mean, it's been, 10, 11 times since the Vols have beat Florida in Gainesville. I think it might be 11 is the exact number. I don't know off the top of my head.
It's around there.
Yeah, around there. And so I'd honestly... I think they're all going to be tough. I'd honestly say it's probably the one I'm most optimistic about, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's going to happen. Now, I said it, I believe 2 weeks ago, that I think it's massive that the Florida game is now going to be in November compared to, September and the early parts of the season as it has been in the past, because you don't have to go to Gainesville and it's not going to be 97 degrees and you're not going to be, the swamp, for heaven's sake, is what it's called. So, I think that might give Tennessee a little bit of a boon there. And obviously, the Vols defense is going to be as good as ever. And I think that's going to be needed in a game like this against DJ Lagway, who I think is just going to take another step forward after a semi-impressive freshman season. I think he's going to be a really good signal caller for the Gators this season.
Yeah, I just look at it in terms of, look, DJ Lagway, it's unfortunate because I am a big believer in if he's healthy. Mm-hmm. Like DJ Lagway, 6-1 as a starter, may have been undefeated if he doesn't leave that Georgia game to injury. They were leading when he left that game.
Yep.
I do think he has just a sky-high ceiling, Heisman-type guy. Like DJ Lagway, unfortunately, for all of All Nation. He's for real.
Yep.
That being said, we'll see on the injury front. We'll see on how Florida's schedule goes. I mean, they have a top 3 strength of schedule in FBS this year. You're getting them at the end of the year, where if things go off the rails a little bit for Billy, like what if Billy doesn't make it through and they have just a bad season and they don't live up to going all in this year and their expectation? That's a good time. So I'm still TBD a little bit on Tennessee and Gainesville. I do like the fact that it's significantly later in the calendar here, and Florida might be in a lot more of dire straits than we had previously anticipated. So I'm going to leave that out because it helps Tennessee way more than having Georgia. It doesn't matter when Tennessee plays Georgia. Tennessee can play Georgia in September, November. It doesn't matter. It's going to be an extremely difficult game for Tennessee to beat Kirby Smart and company. However, I think it actually does potentially really benefit Tennessee to play Florida that late in the season. Because I just think Florida could really fall off the rails by that point.
Yeah, one other thing I hadn't even mentioned. I mean, listen to the schedule. At LSU, at Miami, against Texas, at Texas A&M. That's all in a row. That's completely ridiculous. And then they still have to play Georgia and at Ole Miss. I mean, tell me they're not going to be beat up. Tell me genuinely, Tennessee is their second last game of the year, obviously, except for Florida State. So if you're saying that it's not going to be this big, massive change, like it is a completely different atmosphere and type of game that we're heading into here, because you just, like you said, Lagway already has injury issues, and obviously nobody's hoping for that, but it's just kind of how football is, man. Like, that it beats you up, and especially when you're playing teams of that caliber. I mean, of those teams I listed, there's a solid 4 or 5 of them that are going to be in college football playoff contention this year. So, Florida's going to be beat up a bunch, and Tennessee is the last of the, I guess, giants that they're going to have to face this season, and that's absolutely an advantage for the Vols.
We'll talk NFL betting with Nick Days of the Veterans Minimum here in just a second as we wrap up hour number 2 right here on The Chase, Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Stick with us, 105.7 FM, AM 1340. It's Ethan Stone Thursdays of Saturday Down South right here on The Chase. Stick with us. We're going to wrap up a jam-packed show here for you guys. Thank you for making The Chase part of your daily listen, and I hope you guys stay with us as we wrap up hour number 2 right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, AM 1340. We'll be right back after this.
Are you tired of trying to squeeze your dental appointments in on your lunch break or before you go to work? Here at Knoxville Smiles, we're all about making going to the dentist easier. That's why we're now open until 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. To take advantage of our new evening hours, make your appointment now at knoxvillesmiles.com or just call us at 865-539-1776. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Do you love to gamble? Do you enjoy listening to people talk about gambling? Well, then I have some good news for you. Every weeknight at 6 p.m., you can hear John Reed and William Pattison go over the slate, thanks to our friends at VIP Play. Sports topics aren't always black and white, but on the slate, they are always green. Nothing but trends, angles, and bets to try to make you some money. The Slate, presented by VIP Sports on Fan Run Radio, weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-639-8620. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-639-8620. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-639-8620. That's 1-800-639-8620.
What's the difference between an ordinary EV and a Mercedes-Benz EV? The feeling. Electric is what gets you there. Mercedes-Benz is what moves you in ways no other automaker can. Feel the freedom of the superbly versatile 7-seater EQB. Revel in the inspired, customizable comfort of the EQE sedan. Sense the brilliant intelligence of the EQE SUV. Discover the boundless capability of the EQS SUV. And luxuriate in the flagship meets spaceship magnificence of the EQS sedan. Every Mercedes-Benz electric vehicle offers the very latest MBUX voice-activated AI software, as well as remote access to a whole host of functions via the Mercedes Me Connect app. The vehicle's electric, the feeling all Mercedes, the choice all yours. Test drive a Mercedes-Benz electric today at your local dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/EQ.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine. Live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
We're right back here on The Chase, Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Old friend over there at Veterans Minimum, the great sports gambling podcast that you should go check out from Nick Deas. Nick, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Chase, what's going on, man? Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for being here, man. So you're over there in Vegas. You're locked in on all things NFL and NFL future bets and everything else. So I wanted to pick your brain here in Titans country to talk about what's going on with the NFL now that Aaron Rodgers finally signed. Mandatory mini camp is underway. We're starting to get a really good feel on where teams are and where teams are headed in 2025. So first thing I want to ask you, who's right now the best MVP bet in the NFL next season? Who is it for you?
Wow. So you're coming out the gates firing.
Look, man, you know how I am. You know that's what we're doing here, Nick.
Yeah, and I love that about you, man. So I actually just went and bet Matthew Stafford to win MVP at 45-1. I absolutely love it. I'm very bullish on the LA Rams this year. I believe that they were the only team that really gave the Eagles a run for their money all of 2024. And if it wasn't for a blizzard chase in the second half of that game, I'm not entirely sure that the Philadelphia Eagles leave Philly with a W there. Stafford, I believe this is going to be the best offense he has ever played with. And I know it's saying that's a really, really tall task to put on him because he's played with Calvin Johnson. He's played with the 2021 LA Rams with Cooper Kupp, who had the Triple Crown, and then ultimately they won the Super Bowl. But I love Davante Adams going over there. Davante Adams is still a legitimate top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. He just was in the circus that was the New York Jets. He still can get open like anyone else. He's still a elite wide receiver, and I think that was the best free agent move any team in the entire league made. So, Puka, Kieran Williams, solid offensive line, a hell of a defense this year. I think they might have the best defense in the NFL. Obviously, you got Stafford. Now you throw in a Tutu Atwell stretching out the field. Then you got Davante Adams to just take over the Cooper Kupp role. Who, look, I love Cooper Kupp. One of my best calls ever was plus 800, him to win Super Bowl MVP the year that he won the MVP in the Super Bowl. But he's just not the wide receiver he once was, where Davante Adams could just slot in right there, and you're looking at about 130 targets for Davante Adams. So I love Matthew Stafford at 45-1. He is my legitimate MVP pick, and from a betting standpoint, as you know, sometimes the numbers are off. I think he should be in the 20s, so I love Stafford this year.
Wow. I like it. And it was, you kind of looked in last year, like the NFC's just wide open. And I think people are just assuming the Eagles walk right back in, but the Lions, we were talking NFC North here at the top of the hour, Nick, and it just feels like they're more volatile at the top. No Aiden Hutchinson early, obviously losing both coordinators. The 49ers fell off a cliff last year. Are we sure they're just going to get back right after paying Brock Purdy? So the NFC West has opened up for them. The Cardinals still TBD. You would think the Seahawks take a step back going from Geno to Darnold. So the Rams winning a lot of games and being Matt Stafford being a dark horse MVP candidate. I love that out of the gate here. Cam Ward, is he your favorite for Rookie of the Year this year with Tennessee?
No, not really, because I don't think that Tennessee is still anywhere near being a legitimate 8-win team. I like Cam Ward. I like his aura, and he seems to be a leader among men. And everywhere he's went, he's played well. I'm a big read the room guy, and he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. Truthfully, I didn't like any of the quarterbacks coming out this year, but he was probably my favorite of the bunch, even though my team, the New York Giants, took a quarterback as well. We'll save that for another time. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But in regards to Rookie of the Year, this is the first time in a very long time that a non-quarterback is the heavy favorite, and I think it's Genty with the Raiders. Just what the Raiders want to do. The talent that he is, you're looking at a guy that's probably going to get north of 350 touches. And I think they're a sneaky playoff team, the Raiders. They're not that bad. I know they're kind of a laughing stock, but I like Geno Smith. him coming in, if you look at the quarterbacks that the Raiders have had the last couple of years, he's an adult in the room. So for me, I know you're a Tennessee fan. I like Cam Ward. I just think we need to be very cautious with the expectations for him this year. And if you're a Titans fan, it's the same way I feel as a Giants fan, so I feel comfortable saying this. I just want to leave 2025 knowing that, hey, you know what? We have a guy. That would be a successful year for both franchises.
Do you think the Steelers' Aaron Rodgers marriage is going to work this year?
Work, I'm not sure. However, there was no other place for him to go because all the shenanigans that he had with the Jets and in Green Bay, he can't do that in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin because there's an alpha coach there. There's someone that he can't pull the stunts that he did with Robert Saleh. He can't. They've already shut down the idea of bringing some of his Jet and Packer buddies in there. If you look at the Steelers, they've been a team that's been a quarterback away since Ben Roethlisberger. If you just look at the talent on both sides of the ball. Now they lose George Pickens. They bring in DK Metcalf. I'm of a believer that it helps both teams with the Pickens deal. I think the Dallas Cowboys desperately needed a number 2 wide receiver. And also Pittsburgh was just fed up with him. I'm always, Chase, I don't know how you feel about this, but anytime a team just willingly gives up on a guy, and it's a historically good, respectable franchise, I'm like, what do they know that I don't know?
Yeah.
Right? And we've seen the antics from George Pickens, and I wonder if he was the only legit wide receiver on the Steelers the last couple of years. So is he being overvalued because of that? Or is he just always destined to be a 2 or 3 wide receiver? So I like it because he can't do none of the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I still think Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback. I spent a couple weeks ago just watching New York Jet footage for Devontae Adams because I'm all in on the Rams this year. And I just kept seeing Aaron Rodgers making 2-3 throws a game that maybe 2 other guys in the league can make. And he's going to be 41 in December. So like it is a strong word, but I do like it from the sense that you're not going to get none of these crazy Aaron Rodgers rants and outbreaks towards the coaching staff because of Tomlin.
Who's your best team win-loss over right now, outside of the Rams, obviously, and who do you have as an under where you're like, oh, I just love this under right now for them in the win-loss totals?
You know what's crazy, man? I was going to interrupt you before to just chime in because you mentioned the 2 teams.
Oh.
So I absolutely love the under 11.5 for the Detroit Lions. I'm a big believer in – I didn't buy that team at all last year. I thought they were a very overrated team. They beat up – a lot of their numbers were spiked because of wins against, like, the Titans and, you know, beating up on these, like, really crappy teams. But one thing in the sports betting world, a lot of sports bettors use this metric. It's record in one-score games. There's always going to be regression to the mean, right? And they went 7-2 in one-score games. They're plus 220 to miss the playoffs. I like that bet. I think the NFC is going to be a lot better than people think. Ragnow retired on the offensive line. I think that's a massive loss. You alluded to this before. They lost both coordinators. And then, dude, their road games this year, Ravens, Washington, Cincy, Kansas City, Philly. Oh, my. That is a tough slate of games. And, look, I know a lot of people that are pro-Detroit Lions are like, hey, man, week 1 – to the playoff game, they had 8 new starters on defense. And I totally agree with you on that, right? You're going to get some positive regression in the injury luck that they had. You know, they had some of the worst injury luck in the league. But, you know, I'm not a believer of Jared Goff. I think they're a double-digit win team. Maybe they get to 10-7 and they sneak in as a wild card team. There's another team I like in that division to win the division this year, but it's not the Detroit Lions. I'm on the under 11.5.
Who's your over who's your sneaky in that division?
I like Chicago. I like Chicago a lot.
Okay, we got a Chicago Bears superfan with us right now, and Ethan Stone of Saturday Down South. Nick, he loves this.
Yeah, I like the way you're talking, Nick. Keep going.
Look. They and I'm sure you know this, Ethan. They bring 3 new guys on the offensive line. A veteran presence is there with Jackson coming over from the Rams, Tooney coming over from the Chiefs. Ben Johnson, I'm a firm believer that if you draft a young quarterback, especially throughout the rookie contract, I need an offensive mind with him. I think they had one of the worst. They had one of the worst coaching situations last year with Caleb Williams. And then if you do like the tail of the tape between Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels, man, the numbers are very similar. It's just that one guy is perceived to be awful while the other guy is the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. So I like Chicago at plus 500 to win the division. There's always a team that makes a leap from like third to fourth to ending up winning the division. But, you know, I know you asked me before about an under team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the under team was the Lions, excuse me. An over team, I'm on the San Francisco 49ers bandwagon.
Okay.
I think last year, it happens every year. Their win total is at 10.5. It happens every year. A team just has the season from hell, right? Like, guys are dropping like flies left and right. They had contract issues with 4 of their best players, and last offseason, that comes into the league. Brandon Ayuk, they pay him crazy money. He blows out an ACL. Massive regression from Deebo Samuel. And they get Robert Saleh back on defense.
Right.
Defensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan. Anytime this guy has made the playoffs with the 49ers, they make it to the NFC title game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Brock Purdy now, he has some pressure on him. I'm a fan of Brock Purdy. I think he gets a lot of hate. All this guy does is win. Does he need everyone to be healthy? Yeah, sure. But who doesn't? Everyone needs their best players to be healthy, right? So
yeah.
I think the 49ers are going to bounce back. They're playing a fourth-place schedule, which is something they haven't done with the Shanahan era, and that matters, right? That's the difference between playing the Raiders and playing the Kansas City Chiefs on your schedule. So I like the regression to the mean for the San Francisco 49ers this year.
We'll get you out on this. Is this the year the Atlanta Falcons host their first playoff game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium that's nearly a decade old?
I am not sure. However, my favorite bet, and you're talking to someone that has correctly picked the Offensive Player of the Year the last 3 seasons in a row. Everything's archived on Veterans Minimum. Cheap plug, the best sports betting vibe on the internet. I love Bijan Robinson this year.
There you go.
If I'm playing fantasy football, I want him number 1 overall. I was telling everyone this about Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry last year. Saquon Barkley was my Offensive Player of the Year last year. I got Bijan Robinson this year. I think Michael Penix opens up that offense in a way that Kirk Cousins wasn't able to. And I think with a young quarterback, they're going to utilize the passing game to the running back. I think Bijan Robinson has a legitimate case to be a 1,000 guy, both receiving and rushing. And at 20-1, he's my favorite pick for Offensive Player of the Year. And look, the Falcons, they've addressed the defense, the division. If there is a division that you want to be in, it's probably the NFC South. So I don't know about hosting, but again, the NFC I think is going to be really intriguing this year. Everyone is gung-ho on the AFC side of things, but man, I think the NFC is going to be just as competitive. So Atlanta could be one of those teams.
Man, fantastic stuff down the stretch here as well. Nick Days, you can listen to him on the Veterans Minimum over there on the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Like he said, the best sports betting vibe on the internet, but make sure you tap in and check out all of his great sports betting coverage over there on Veterans Minimum. Nick, thank you so much for the time, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
Oh, yeah, Chase. Thanks again, bro. Have a good one.
There you have it. Nick Days to wrap up hour number 2 right here on The Chase. Great stuff from Nick, talking all things NFL, sports gambling. That'll do it here for Saturday Down South. Ethan Stone and myself. Thank you to intern Jay. Thank you to intern Garrett. Like I said, thank you to Ethan. Here on a Thursday, we'll have Jack Foster of Omaha Productions in here tomorrow. The Drive with Russell Smith and the Bear coming up right after this. Y'all come back now.
So don't wait down the holiday road.